Imagine bringing in something like $150,000 worth of new business in a single month,
Right.
and then, just letting 60 grand of it literally evaporate out the back door.
Just gone.
Yeah, completely gone. Simply because you were just too busy to send an email.
It sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but it happens all the time.
It really does. I mean, if you are running a contractor or design-focused business, you probably know this headache all too well. It's that infamous feast or famine cycle.
Oh, yeah. The absolute worst.
Right. Like some days your phone is ringing off the hook, you can't even keep up, and then other days it is absolute crickets.
Just staring at the phone.
Exactly. And, you find yourself relying way too heavily on past referrals, or suddenly you're fighting over these bottom-of-the-barrel price shoppers.
Right, just racing to the bottom.
Yeah, losing jobs to cheaper bids just to keep your crews from sitting idle in the yard. So today, we are going to look right under the hood at how to fix this.
I love this topic.
Me too. You can consider this deep dive today like pulling up a chair to one of our internal Atrium team strategy meetings. We're going to pull from our own internal client audits, data straight from ServiceTitan's CRM accounts, and even some recent consumer insight reports from Think with Google.
We've got a lot of good stuff to cover.
We really do. Our mission today is to break down exactly how premium HVAC and pool service companies build real systems for consistent, predictable work. Specifically, when preparing for that really intense summer demand.
Yeah, and we've been seeing this exact scenario play out a lot lately with contractors across the board.
Oh, constantly.
The fundamental issue, well, it always comes down to timing and infrastructure. Like if a business waits until June to prepare for summer demand.
When the phone is already ringing.
Exactly. When the phone's ringing and the heat is already here, they have entirely missed the window. They're already too late.
So true.
The systems you need to survive June, they actually have to be built and, stress tested back in April.
Right. Let's look at the mechanics of why June is such a universal breaking point. Because coming out of the shoulder season, right, that quiet period in spring where the weather is nice and nobody's really running their heat or their AC.
It's just perfectly mild out.
Yeah, mild. And then June feels like this sudden explosion. What is actually happening operationally that causes everything to either click or just completely fall apart?
Well, it's the aggressive acceleration of demand.
Right.
And it hits multiple operational bottlenecks all at the exact same time.
Right.
So in the HVAC industry, for example, June is when you get hit with sustained heat. It's not just a warm afternoon. It's like 4 straight days of 95-degree weather.
Right. The real heat wave.
Exactly. And systems that were barely holding on through the spring, they suddenly completely failed. The urgency just goes through the roof.
Because the customer isn't calling and saying, hey, can you come out next Tuesday?
No, never.
They're saying, my house is 90 degrees right now, my dog is panting, and my kids literally cannot sleep.
Yeah, it's an absolute emergency for them.
Right.
And that creates immediate chaos on the dispatch board.
Right.
And then, simultaneously, look at the pool service industry. They are juggling 3 massive hurdles at the exact same time.
Which are what?
Well, they're still handling late seasonal openings for clients who, procrastinated or delayed.
Sure.
Plus, they're managing standard midsummer service and chemical balancing routes. And on top of all that, they're getting slammed with emergency equipment replacements because pumps and heaters are just failing under heavy usage.
Just a perfect storm of calls.
It really is a perfect storm.
But hold on a second. Let me play devil's advocate here. I'm looking at this from a business owner's perspective.
Okay.
If my phone is ringing 50 times a day and my crews are fully dispatched, my revenue is going up. Right.
You'd think so.
How is being too busy suddenly a bad thing? Honestly, it sounds like complaining about having too much money.
I hear that all the time. On the surface, a ringing phone feels like revenue. It feels like success.
Right. It's the dream.
But the reality of what happens behind the scenes during these unpredictable volume spikes is it's actually much darker.
Really? Darker how?
Well, when a shop gets incredibly busy, crews get overwhelmed. Technicians start rushing their diagnostics just to get to the next call.
Oh, because they're pressured.
Right. And the administrative side of the business, the people answering the phones and sending out the quotes, they simply buckle under the weight of the inbound traffic.
Wow. So the invisible infrastructure of the company just breaks down.
Totally breaks down.
Yeah.
To give you a real-world perspective on this, let's look at a hard metric we regularly see when we run audits inside our clients' ServiceTitan accounts here at Atrium.
Okay. Lay it on me.
So, during the first major heat wave of the season, a premium HVAC company might produce $150,000 in high-ticket equipment replacement estimates.
Which sounds amazing.
Right, it sounds great.
Yeah.
The technicians do the work. They diagnose the broken AC units. They write up the quotes.
Yeah.
But because the entire office staff is buried in handling the next emergency no-cool call that's coming in, they fail to follow up on 30 to 40% of those written estimates.
Wait, 30 to 40%?
Yeah.
That is an unbelievable amount of money to just leave sitting on the table.
It's staggering. I mean, you were looking at $45,000 to $60,000 of potential revenue.
And these are jobs they've already acquired.
Exactly. Jobs they have already paid marketing dollars to acquire. They already spent the gas money to drive out to the house. The tech already did the diagnostic.
Wow.
And it just evaporates. And the mechanism of failure here, it isn't a lack of skill.
Right. The techs know what they're doing.
It's simply because the dispatcher cannot physically answer a flashing red light for a new emergency call and simultaneously call a customer from yesterday to walk through a $15,000 financing plan.
You literally can't be in two places at once.
Exactly. So the business is bleeding out the back door while the owner is, celebrating the volume coming in the front door.
Okay, if we're seeing that massive drop-off in the CRM, the immediate question, obviously, is how to stop the bleeding.
Right.
But the instinct that most owners have when they feel this pressure, well, it usually makes the situation worse, doesn't it?
Oh, almost always. It is a very natural human reflex, though. You feel the surge of demand, and you just want to cast a wider net to capture it all.
Yeah, our colleague Diego actually mentioned this when we were reviewing some client campaigns last Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
He noted that the knee-jerk reaction from owners during a heat wave is to just dump more money into Google Ads.
Yep. Turn on the faucet.
They think, the fish are biting, let's buy more lines. They start chasing more leads to somehow solve the feeling of dropping the ball on the leads they already have.
Which makes no logical sense if you really think about it. Throwing a higher ad spend in an overwhelmed operational system rarely fixes the underlying issue.
It just amplifies it.
Exactly. When we look at where marketing budgets actually go to die in these scenarios, the wasted spend doesn't usually come from poorly written ads, right? The ads are usually fine. The campaigns are structured well.
The Google ads are doing their job. They're making the phone ring.
Right. The failure happens post-click. The wasted spend comes from missed phone calls because the only dispatcher is already dealing with a frustrated customer on line 1.
Right.
It comes from slow response times that stretch past that crucial first hour. It's like running a restaurant where the marketing is so good, there's a line wrapped all the way around the building.
But you only have one chef in the kitchen.
Exactly. Buying more ads doesn't feed more people. It just makes the line longer and the customers angrier.
That is such a good analogy. And there is clear data to back up why that speed and capacity is so critical.
Definitely.
I was reviewing some recent consumer insights from Think with Google, and they have repeatedly highlighted how customer expectations across all service industries, they just keep escalating every single year.
Oh, people are so impatient now.
It's extremely. Customers expect rapid, almost instantaneous responses. Like, if you take 3 hours to return a web form inquiry, they have already booked your competitor.
Long gone.
It's like paying for premium gas, right? The most expensive, high-intent leads you can buy, but pouring it into an engine that's completely flooded.
Yeah.
The engine physically cannot process the fuel, and you are literally just spilling expensive gas all over your driveway.
That analogy perfectly illustrates why we have to make a very clear distinction internally when we diagnose a new client's business here at Atrium.
What kind of distinction?
We have to separate a seasonal slump from a structural failure.
Ah, right. Let's break that down for the listener because, every contractor naturally blames the season when things feel off, right? Oh, it's just a slow month.
Right. But seasonality is an external factor, and it naturally corrects itself. The weather changes, the shoulder season ends, and demand returns.
Sure.
But structural problems, those are internal, and they hide incredibly well inside the busy season. We look for very specific indicators to tell the two apart.
Like what are the red flags?
For instance, if your overall call volume is increasing significantly, but your actual booked jobs remain totally flat, that is a structural failure.
Meaning, you are getting the at-bats, but nobody is actually getting on base because your intake process is broken.
Exactly. Or if we look in the CRM and see that high-ticket estimates are just sitting untouched in the follow-up tab for 48 hours.
That's painful.
It is. Or, and this is a massive red flag, If your average job value starts dropping because your schedule is suddenly dominated by price shoppers.
Oh, the folks who just called 5 different companies looking for the cheapest diagnostic fee.
Right. If you are experiencing those things, your business isn't a victim of the season. Your internal machinery is broken.
Which means if you try to fix a structural internal problem with an external seasonal solution, like, say, a temporary bump in your Google ad spend, you are literally just paying more money to lose jobs at a faster rate.
Exactly. You are amplifying your own dysfunction.
Wow, so if throwing money at Google ads isn't the magic bullet, how do we actually fix these structural leaks? Like, how do we shore up the foundation before that massive June rush hits?
This is where a business has to transition from playing frantic defense to playing calculated offense.
I like that. And this is really the core of the Atrium approach, isn't it?
It is.
Andrea Romero, one of our colleagues here, actually pointed this out when we were mapping out a growth strategy for a design build client recently.
She's so good at spotting this.
She really is. She emphasized that what separates the top 1% of businesses from everyone else, it comes down to documented systems.
Yes, systems.
Yeah.
Not just ideas.
Right. It isn't about running a more clever ad campaign. It's about getting better projects, not just more leads. You want to prioritize quality over sheer volume.
Absolutely. And when we look at what the top 1% are doing differently, they have these operational blueprints fully functioning 30 to 60 days before temperatures arrive.
Okay, walk us through what those documented systems actually look like in practice. Like, what is step one?
Step one is granular tracking. You must know where every single dollar goes. And I don't mean just looking at a total monthly ad spend at the end of the month.
Right, that's not enough.
Not even close.
Yeah.
If you can't point to exactly which marketing channel produced last Tuesday's booked installation, you are flying completely blind.
So how do we fix that?
Well, we utilize guidance straight from the Google Ads Help Center to set up proper call performance tracking and what are called attribution models.
Okay, let's unpack that term for a second because attribution model can sound like marketing jargon to a lot of folks.
I know.
What does that actually mean for an HVAC or a pool business out in the field?
So when we say attribution, we mean tracing the exact digital footprint of a customer's journey.
Okay.
We aren't just talking about knowing a customer clicked an ad. We are talking about knowing that a homeowner searched emergency pool heater replacement.
Very specific.
Right. And then they clicked a specific ad campaign, which triggered a specific dynamic call tracking number on your website, which then led to a 5-minute phone call, which ultimately led to a dispatcher booking a $10,000 replacement job.
Wow, so you see the whole thread.
Exactly. You have to know the difference between a click that resulted in a quick question about store hours and a click that actually resulted in high-ticket revenue.
Because if you don't track that exact path, you might accidentally cut the budget on the exact campaign that brings in your best customers.
Right. You could turn off your moneymaker without even knowing it.
Okay, so that's step one, tracking.
Yep. Once tracking is dialed in, step two is shifting the company's operational focus entirely to reputation and follow-up, rather than racing to the bottom on price.
That is so important.
It is. Premium service companies simply cannot compete on being the cheapest. The math just doesn't work.
You'll go out of business.
You will. You have to compete on being the most reliable, the most professional, and the most responsive. The psychology of a premium buyer is fundamentally different.
How so?
They care about quality and peace of mind. And that specific type of client, they require a premium, completely friction-free follow-up experience.
Which brings us to the most critical mechanism of this entire system. How do you actually build an infrastructure that catches these high-ticket leads without them, falling through the cracks?
Well, the mechanism to fix this isn't just telling your existing employees to work harder or type faster.
Just do more.
Yeah, that never works. It requires physically separating roles. Step 3 of our blueprint is having someone in the organization explicitly own the estimate follow-up process every single day.
So not just as a side task.
Not as a side task, not as something a dispatcher does if they happen to have 15 minutes of free time on a Friday afternoon.
Right.
It has to be an assigned, measurable responsibility. Think about the psychology of the buyer during a heat wave.
Okay.
When a technician leaves a 90-degree house, the customer is in peak buying mode. They are uncomfortable, and they want a solution right now.
They're sweating in their living room.
Exactly. If you wait 48 hours to send the quote or follow-up, they have cooled off, literally and figuratively. They've already found someone else who answered the phone faster.
Right, because if following up on quotes is, everyone's job.
It's nobody's job.
Exactly. Human nature dictates that it becomes nobody's job. When the dispatch board is lit up red with emergencies, no employee is voluntarily going to go dig through yesterday's unclosed estimates unless it is their explicit daily mandate.
Accountability has to be systemized. The inbound emergency dispatch role inherently competes for attention with the outbound estimate follow-up role.
They're fighting each other.
Yeah, if one person is trying to do both, the outbound follow-up will always lose.
I want to make sure you, the listener, know that we aren't just sitting in a room theorizing about this.
No, not at all.
Here at Atrium, as a growth partner, we are implementing these systems every single day. We've tested this extensively across different markets, and we have seen what actually moves the needle for contractors.
Let's look at a concrete example of this operational shift in action.
I love this one.
Yeah, we recently worked with a premium HVAC company that was experiencing exactly the scenario we've been describing. They were incredibly busy, their techs were exhausted, but they were leaking revenue everywhere.
It was bleeding cash.
And the owner's initial instinct, predictably, was to increase the ad budget by 20% to capture more of that heat wave demand.
Because they felt busy and wanted to stay busy. And what did we actually find when we looked under the hood?
Well, we put a hard stop on the ad budget increase.
Yep.
Instead of buying more leads, we looked at their ServiceTitan board and found a massive backlog of unclosed, high-ticket replacement estimates just sitting dormant.
Wow.
So we helped them restructure their office duties. We took one specific staff member and completely removed their inbound call duties.
Just took them off the board.
Totally off inbound. We assigned them solely to follow up on every single replacement estimate within 24 hours of the technician leaving the home. No exceptions.
So, to be clear, absolutely zero extra marketing dollars spent.
Zero.
The only thing that changed was the internal operational system.
And the result was immediate. Their closing percentage on those equipment replacements jumped so dramatically that their crews stayed fully booked for the entire remainder of the summer.
That's amazing.
They didn't need more leads. They just needed to actually harvest the crop they had already planted.
Yeah.
They unlocked massive revenue simply by tightening the bolts on their follow-up mechanism.
That is incredible. It proves that the gold is usually sitting right there in your own database, not out in the Google ether waiting to be purchased.
Exactly.
Let me share another internal win we had recently, which we lovingly refer to around the Atrium office as addition by subtraction.
Oh, those are always fascinating to unpack.
They really are. So we had a client where we did a deep dive into their metrics, mapping their ad spend directly to their booked revenue.
Yeah.
We realized that nearly 50% of their Google Ads budget was producing incredibly low-value calls.
50%, wow.
Half their budget. We are talking about people calling for minor, unprofitable repairs or pure price shoppers who were just, calling 6 different places and were never going to buy premium equipment anyway.
Just burning up phone time.
Exactly. So we went in and completely cleaned up the wasted spend. We just shut those specific campaigns down entirely.
Which leads to a very counterintuitive operational outcome.
Yes, it does. We actually got them fewer calls.
Right.
Now, if you go to a seasoned contractor who has spent 20 years equating a ringing phone with success and you tell them, hey, great news, my strategy is going to make your phone ring less, they panic.
They
absolutely panic. It goes against every survival instinct they have as a business owner.
It terrifies them because it challenges their baseline metric for success.
Yeah.
But this is the real nuance of a true growth strategy.
Right.
Yes, they booked fewer total calls, the office was quieter, but because we reallocated that focused budget into campaigns targeting high-intent buyers and paired it with their newly tightened internal follow-up system, they booked significantly more high-ticket equipment replacement jobs.
The quality of the projects completely transformed.
Totally. The technicians were no longer burning valuable windshield time, driving across town to unprofitable diagnostic calls for customers who really just wanted free advice.
Right.
They were arriving fresh to high-value opportunities. It definitively proved our core philosophy here. Monitoring missed calls, separating follow-up duties, and reviewing the actual revenue of booked jobs instead of just cheering for high call volume, that is how you scale sustainably.
It's the stark difference between being busy and being profitable because, you can be incredibly busy running your crews into the ground and still go bankrupt if your internal systems aren't dialed in to capture the actual value.
Activity does not equal achievement. I say it all the time. If your marketing is just bringing in chaos, it isn't successful marketing.
Man, that is so true. Let's bring this all together. If we're looking at the big picture of what we've discussed in the strategy session today, true preparation for summer demand is absolutely not about scrambling to catch the overflow when the phone finally starts ringing in June.
No, not at all.
If you are doing that, you've already lost the battle. Real preparation is having your internal systems so meticulously dialed in, your tracking mechanisms, your speed to lead, and your dedicated separated estimate follow-up roles that you aren't leaking 40% of your hard-earned estimates out the back door while you are, distracted by the shiny new leads coming in the front door.
It is about building a machine that captures and converts high-quality projects regardless of what the seasonal temperature is doing outside.
Exactly. It's about turning operational chaos into predictable, consistent growth. So as we wrap up our time together today, we want to leave you with a final thought, something to really mull over as you analyze your own business operations this week.
Yeah, consider this scenario. If your entire marketing budget completely vanished tomorrow.
Just poof, gone.
Right. If Google Ads went dark, your social media disappeared, and the phone just stopped ringing with brand new prospects. Would your internal follow-up systems, your tracking, and your customer nurturing be robust enough to keep your crews fully booked based purely on the unclosed estimates and existing customer base you already have sitting in your CRM?
That is a phenomenal question because if the honest answer to that is no, then you don't have a marketing problem. You have a system problem.
Oh, a big one.
And that means you are still stuck in that unpredictable feast or famine cycle, letting the feast actually eat your business from the inside out.
Absolutely.
If this is a headache you are dealing with right now and you are trying to figure out how to get more consistent, better projects instead of just relying on the exhausting roller coaster of unpredictable seasonal spikes, that is exactly what we help with here at Atrium. We act as a growth partner to help contractors and design-focused businesses build these exact systems. You can check us out and see exactly how we do it at creativeatrium.com. Until next time, keep your systems tight and your follow-ups fast.